Pre-show cheers. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you, my friends. Ooh, that is so good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Basil Hayden. Hello, Internet. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
The University of Utah has a game this week against Arizona State. Let's go ahead and break it down.
In Major League Baseball, the World Series is wrapping up. What other talking points are there currently in Major League Baseball?
And the University of Oregon defeats Utah on the road. What's their path look like to a potential national championship?
In the NBA, all the talk is around Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs building the future dynasty. With a lot of young teams in the NBA, who's up next? And are the Jazz one of them? All that and more. My name is Darren, that is AJ, and this is the DNA Sports Recap.
Roll the intro.
If you are part of the 95% of our audience that is not subscribed, please consider doing so. Thank you.
How's it going, AJ?
Doing good, buddy. Doing really good. Been a busy week. Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
How about you?
Great week. It's a lot of fun. Not a great weekend for our University of Utah football team. Do you want to start there?
That's unfortunately where we need to start, my friend.
All right. So let's go ahead and break it down for us. What happened with the Utes in Oregon this week?
Well,
not that you guys didn't let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. We heard plenty about what happened. There was a very rough game to be played there. Oregon came out outclassed, outplayed in every aspect of the game. Utah just struggled to get anything going, really. I mean,
yeah, you were at that game, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah. It was very cold also.
Oh, I'll bet.
Just for the record, it was very cold.
I'll bet.
I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail in the Utah-Oregon game because we got some more stuff on that in just a minute. But
well, I'd like to ask you the national narrative. The big thing is that after that first drive where Oregon came out and scored, just punched Utah right in the mouth right in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
They said it was very, very quiet there, very, very quick. Was that the same experience you felt?
It was absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was that the crowd was super rowdy to start the game. I mean, there was a ton of energy in that place. Everyone was excited to get the game going. And they just marched the ball down, and it didn't look like the defense was even on the field. I mean, I don't know how it looked on TV, but it didn't. I don't even know if they showed up. It was just Oregon out there throwing the ball around, and they're in the end zone. It was just like, oh no, this could get really bad really quickly, and unfortunately, it did.
Unfortunately, it did.
Yeah.
I mean, what went wrong? Just give us a recap. What went wrong for the Utes?
The Oregon offense just had it figured out, man. I mean, they were. I don't know if you saw the Bo Nix reaction after, but they were calling in plays and then waiting for the defense to set, and then they were calling their offense off of the defensive setting.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
yeah,
I mean, Oregon outplayed them, man. They outcoached them. They look really, really good. They are good top to bottom. And again, more on that here in just a minute.
Absolutely more to talk about Oregon coming forward. Let's go ahead and move forward to what Utah has coming in, which is Utah versus Arizona State.
Yes, sir. This is going to be a good game. Hopefully it's a good bounce back game for the Utes. Arizona State is no slouch. No. These guys have played a lot of really tough teams all the way down to the wire. Utah, after the onslaught from Oregon, their defense is now 18th ranked in the nation. Their offense has moved up to 104th nationally. Arizona State has the 13th ranked defense. But I mean, this is a tough defense, man. These guys held Michael Penix in Washington to 275 yards, 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, which is just super not Michael Penix like, right? He really struggled against this Arizona State defense. And then they also have the number 82 ranked offense in the country. So they're not super high powered. They're running on their third string quarterback. Trenton Bourquet he's been a backup most of his career. These guys had injuries. They had a transfer in from Notre Dame, Drew Pine, that ended up getting hurt, and then they had a stud freshman quarterback that came in and was supposed to be really good for him, Jaden Rashada. He also gets hurt. So Trenton Bourquet started the last 4 games for him. He's played okay, but I do want to be clear: this Arizona State's a lot better than the 2-4 record that they currently have. The offensive line is a little bit banged up. They've got some transfer guys in that have played a lot more than they were kind of hoping for, and they've got a really good running back in Cameron Scatabo. He's done a really good job. He's a really strong rusher. He can catch out of the backfield, kind of Sione Vaki-ish. So
Right.
he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. And they got another just straight up running back in DeCarlos Brooks, who had 3 touchdowns last week. So this is a really good football team. They're coming along. They're making big strides. They beat Washington State last week, who was ranked for, the beginning half of this season. So Arizona State looks tough. They're going to come in here. They've got a chip on their shoulder. They're trying to win football games. And I think Utah's trying to get that bad taste from that Oregon game out of their mouth. And I think they're going to be looking to perform in front of the home crowd.
Absolutely. I would say that Arizona State is probably one of the, if you'd say top 3 defenses that the Utah Utes have seen this year, it's probably what they're going to be dealing with.
Yeah.
As far as that pressure and the fact that this offense hasn't really been able to produce at the level that, we would want them to do it at this point of the season with this schedule. So yeah, for sure. I definitely see that. What's your takeaway on this one coming forward? Do we expect a good bounce back win for Utah? Or
I think the opening line on this is Utah by 11. Utah's at home. Traditionally, they play very well at home.
Traditionally.
I think Utah's got a good chance to win this game. As long as they can come in the line of scrimmage, they've got to block it up. They've got to stop that run. Like I said, Arizona's got a pretty good running attack and those, kind of dual-headed monster for running backs. If they can stuff that run, turn Bourquet into a passer where he's got to drop back. Again, they do have a banged up offensive line.
Right.
And Utah's defensive line is just barely all the way healthy. So if we can get to a point where he's got to drop back and try to sit in the pocket, it's going to be advantage Utah, right? They're going to be able to get in the backfield. They should spend some time back there getting some sacks and some tackles for loss. And if we can do that and put them in some extended third down positions, ASU is ranked 125th in the country in third down turnover or third down percentage, and Utah's ranked number 1 in the country in third down efficiency on defense. So if we can get them into some of those third down positions, it's going to be tough for them to keep the ball moving and really put some points up against Utah.
Is there any risk for this one to be a trap game at all?
Absolutely. Always. Yeah. This could be a really tough game for Utah because they're expected to win. And if the players don't go out there, I do think Kyle Whittingham does a really good job of getting his players ready week in, week out, and making sure that, they're ready to play every game. They don't put any games ahead of them. It's not saying look ahead to Washington or anything like that. Arizona State's going to be coming to play. I think Utah will be ready. I think they're going to be firing on all cylinders. They're going to need every one of those cylinders for the Washington game here in a couple of weeks.
Right.
And hopefully they use this as a good tune-up game to get some, more groove going on offense and get that Oregon game in the past.
Nice. It's a noon kickoff for this one, right?
That's correct. Yep.
All right. So yeah, one of the early ones, not that famous quote. They're not in the afternoons anymore. Remember?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, yeah, look forward to it. Hopefully it's a nice bounce back win for the Utes there, and they can get another one in the win column there against Arizona State.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and circle back here. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about Oregon. Let's talk about the Ducks. We did mention, we actually, first of all, thank you everybody for commenting in the comments down below on our previous videos. We had probably the record-setting comments on that one, 117 comments on that one.
It was a barrage of comments. Okay, that one was tough to stay up with. And we try to comment back to every single person that comments. So it was a lot of work.
Yeah. Again, we're not here to, be home. I mean, we're not here to lie about the fact that we are Utes fans. We're not trying to be members of the media, credentialed members of the media. We're fans just like you guys. We wanted to give Ute fans the position where there's a possibility that the Utes could win that game, and so we found the stats. More importantly, you found the stats to basically see how there was a path to victory there.
Absolutely.
Never once did we say they were going to win that game. We just felt that there was a path that they could. So anyway, just to clear the air on that one. But let's go ahead and go back to that game a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Oregon football and what we expect from them the rest of the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, after watching this game, and I hope all Utes fans really saw this, I think Oregon has an actual chance to be coming out of the Pac-12. They just released the college football playoffs. Oregon is currently ranked 6th behind Washington, but they've got a really good schedule to finish out and stay strong. They've got California at home. They've got USC at home. Then they're at Oregon State, and then Oregon State at home. So 3 of their next 4 games are home games for Oregon, which is fantastic. And I think that if Oregon can win out and then defeat Washington in the Pac-12 championship, I don't know how there's any way you deny this team a playoff spot. With your one loss being to the number 5 ranked Washington Huskies, you avenge the loss in a Pac-12 championship game. I mean, that's going to be really, really tough to try to say Oregon doesn't deserve a spot in the Pac-12 championship or in the national championship.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Oregon, I believe, according to teamrankings.com, they have the 13th strength of schedule going forward. So, not exactly, that's in the upper echelon of the top 50 for the rest of the year there. Washington is undefeated. They currently sit at the top of the conference there. So again, like you mentioned, I don't know if you tell me that Oregon and Washington were to play this week, I think that everybody would be in agreement that Oregon would win that game.
And especially because the Pac-12 championship is going to be played at a neutral site.
Right.
When they played before, it was at Washington, and you get a little bit of that momentum and that energy from your crowds. And
honestly, man, the way Bo Nick's playing, man, I would think even on the road, I think they'd win that
just
game.
Out of his mind, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so talented. He can read defenses. He's moving offensive guys around. I mean, and he's just picking defenses apart top to bottom right now. And I just think that he has I think this Oregon team has a real chance to play in the playoff. The 4 or 5 teams ranked ahead of him right now are obviously Washington. There's Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia. Michigan has got some tough games coming up, but they haven't played anybody yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in that top ranking. But if they lose one of these games, and if I'm going to circle one for them to lose, it's going to be the Ohio State game. So they've got Ohio State remaining. Ohio State they've got some nice wins on their roster or on their schedule so far. They defeated Notre Dame on the road. They defeated Penn State at home. So, I mean, for them to take Michigan out and then, potentially beat them in a Pac or a Big Ten championship, I think that solidly puts Ohio State in the top, and really eliminates Michigan. I think Georgia, they're just going into the meat of their schedule. They haven't played much yet, but they are unfortunately on a backup quarterback. Right. So Georgia, I mean, they've got number 14 Missouri coming up, number 11 Mississippi coming up, number 19 Tennessee coming up. So they've got 3 top 20 teams that they've got to play in the next 3 weeks with a backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They lose one of those, and it's trouble time, right?
Right.
They've got to win out the SEC to have a chance at those top 4 spots to potentially be in the college football playoff. And then Florida State, I mean, they had a really tough home opener against LSU. They did beat them. They beat Clemson at Clemson. They beat a good rolling Duke team, and they've still got games against Miami and Florida, to kind of finish out this season. So if any of those teams take a loss on this time and Oregon continues to roll, again, I think if they defeat Washington in a Pac-12 championship, I don't know how any one of these college football people denies Oregon a chance to be one of the top 4 teams in the nation and compete for a national championship.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. With Oregon currently, like you mentioned before, ranked 16th in total defense. With unfortunately, you slipping down to 18 on that one. But on offense, I believe again, this is according to the NCAA stats football currently for basically their stats breakdown. Is they actually are currently ranked 2nd in total offense.
Yeah,
the Oregon Ducks are behind LSU, like you just mentioned before. So I don't know, man. That's a good tandem there. Top 20 in defense. Top 2 in offense.
And they are good.
They're the top, and they're the highest ranked defense in the Pac-12 right now nationally. So there's no team defensively that's ranked higher than them in the Pac-12. So if you were to look at the breakdown there, and if you also look at the same thing on the offensive side, obviously LSU not in the Pac-12, so they're the high. So the path to getting the Pac-12 championship is looking pretty good. And if they, like you mentioned, if they do win out, with only 1 loss on their record so far, I have to agree with you, man. I don't see. With the 5 ahead of them there, I don't see how you can argue that.
Yeah, and the number 5 team being Washington. Again, if they can avenge that loss in a Pac-12 championship game, Oregon's on a path to the playoff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have you heard about any of this controversy behind Michigan, the sign stealing scandal?
I've heard all kinds of stuff about this Michigan scandal.
Any chance that would affect their ability to qualify for that?
It wouldn't necessarily affect them right now, but I think all of the negative media around the program right now is probably going to affect some of this, right?
Yeah.
Now, from
there had to be like a long investigation.
Yeah, it would be. So. Yeah, the investigation's got to be complete before there's any sanctions or anything placed on the program. Mm-hmm. But again, I think the national media attention and all of this talk about Coach Harbaugh and how he's been involved in it, and whether he says he is or he's not, he's still the head coach. If you want to tell me any head coach doesn't know what's going on in his program, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
So I think some of this national media could eventually get to this Michigan team, and again, they have zero room for error. Right. Especially with Ohio State playing as well as they are. Yeah. this is going to be a super good college football postseason. And I cannot wait to see how it ends up.
Yeah. So the last one where there's 4 teams, of course, it's expanding with everything changing next year, with the Pac-12 not being what it's going to be, probably not even being around starting next year. This is the last Pac-12 championship that's really going to mean anything.
Yep.
And then going forward, the college football playoff is going to expand to 12 teams starting in 2024. So we're definitely going to see a change in that, and where this wouldn't even be an argument. So
yep.
lots of opportunity here for the Oregon Ducks to make some hay before the end of this. So
absolutely.
Yeah. We look forward to it. We're in your corner back there, us Ute fans here, at least these 2 fans, we're in your corner there.
Yep.
Ducks fans. So
leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let us know what you guys think. Again, we are on the grinds to we're on the grind to 1,000 subscribers. That's what we're trying to do there. So go ahead. If you haven't subscribed yet and this type of content you like, please consider subscribing below. We are doing a giveaway. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, the first $500 we earn in AdSense revenue, we will be giving back to our subscribers. 5 subscribers will each earn $100. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it on that. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and pivot on over to the Utah Jazz, shall we?
Absolutely.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the NBA. Now, a lot of people who are on the internet, especially with Victor Wembanyama joining the Spurs, they're talking about how, Coach Pop is going to basically be building the next Spurs dynasty out there in San Antonio. Now, there's a great video by Mike Korzimba, and we'll link to it down below, where he's basically breaking down, the next up-and-coming dynasty, the potential for the next up-and-coming dynasty team that's out there. I don't know. Did you get a chance to take a look at that video?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what I thought would be nice is one thing I did notice in that video, and I'm not going to spoil anything of it for you, but one thing he did mention is he did not mention the Utah Jazz as one of the potential young teams that could be up next. So I thought it would be a good idea for us to kind of break that down and see the possibility of, do we think the Utah Jazz have a potential to be one of these young teams that could be the next NBA dynasty? But let's qualify what's an NBA dynasty first.
Okay.
So an NBA dynasty is 3+ titles or more, basically.
Correct.
So there have been 6 total dynasties since the merger of the NBA and ABA. Do you know what those are?
Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
LA Lakers.
Twice.
Once
under Magic and under Kobe.
Magic and then Kobe. Okay.
Yep.
The Chicago Bulls.
Right.
Boston Celtics.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And the Spurs.
So those are the 6 NBA dynasties. Those are people who won 3 titles or more with the same team pretty much sticking together the whole time.
Yep.
Is basically what was considered a dynasty. So in that video, Mike breaks down the blueprint for what would be how to build a dynasty. Number 1, a star player that has been drafted and developed by their current franchise. That is the first piece there. Number 2, we also have along that, we have 2 current all-stars or future Hall of Fame players that stick around. And then the third is stars have to be in place with the star players' rookie season. Those are the 3 pieces that apply to all 6 of those dynasties historically. That is basically the blueprint that Mike laid out in his video on what it takes to build a dynasty. With that being said, are the Utah Jazz currently in a position to be one of the young great teams in the NBA that could potentially be the next dynasty?
My answer is yes. There's a few unknowns, because obviously that potential player, we don't have any star players right now that are currently just outstanding.
Right. We don't know
that were drafted by the franchise.
Right. We don't have our Kobe. We don't have our Jordan.
Right.
We don't know who that is currently yet.
But I think I do know who that player is.
Okay. All right.
And I think it's Keontae George.
Nice.
The
KG3?
Yep. The dude's 20 years old. He is currently shooting 35% from 3. Okay. In the 4 games that he's played so far. He's already played more minutes this season than Chris Dunn and Colin Sexton. Both players that in some of our previous videos, we were really thinking we're going to get the majority of minutes based on reasons like they needed to add to their trade value and that kind of stuff to kind of see if they were worth what they're paying these guys to be on the roster. Mm-hmm. Keontae George is already playing more minutes than those guys per game. He's already one of the first or second guys off the bench. He has this massive potential upside. He's shown these great flashes of passing. He has the ability to lead the offense, but the game just needs to slow down a little bit for Keontae George. If there's anyone on our roster right now that is our key piece that is drafted by the franchise, it is Keontae George. Gotcha. He's our guy that's going to move us into the next round, right? And into the next realm of possibility.
Perfect. So in this scenario where the Jazz have the blueprint, matching the blueprint for the future dynasty, Keontae George is our star player.
That's what I think.
All right, perfect.
Yep.
So step 2, we need two current All-Stars or future Hall of Famers that stick around long term.
Yep. So I think Lauri Markkanen is absolutely going to be with the Jazz long term. He doesn't care for the big market teams. The Jazz are going to pay him all the money he could ever want in his whole life.
Right.
He's absolutely fantastic. He's already been an NBA All-Star.
Starter.
He will be a Hall of Fame player when Lauri Markkanen's career is done.
Ooh,
in my
hot
opinion.
take. That's a
absolutely.
Good take. I like that.
Absolutely. He's just that good, though. You know what I mean? Like, he's been that good since he was drafted. When he came over here and played for Arizona, he was that good of a player. He continues to be dominant on both sides of the floor. Up to this season so far, he's a plus 33 in minutes he's on the floor. He is the reason the Jazz motor goes, and the Jazz will go as he goes in the next couple of games. So look out for Lauri. He is that guy as part number 1.
Okay. Who do we got for part number 2?
Part number 2, in my opinion, is most likely going to be Jordan Clarkson. I think he's the next player that we have that he's kind of all-star fringe player. He was 6th man of the year. This is just my opinion, but I think Jordan Clarkson is also a potential Hall of Fame player, especially with his Filipino background. Jordan Clarkson is a fireball when he gets going. He's fun to watch. He is a great player that I think has potential Hall of Fame. He is a little bit older. Jordan Clarkson's 31, right? He's on maybe the tail end of his career. But I think careers are way longer than they used to be. You know what I mean? Careers typically end at 34, 35 years old, but look at LeBron at 38, 39. Right. So I think Jordan Clarkson has a lot of really good basketball left in him. I think he has the ability to continue to kind of mold this team together, and they can be one. And I think he's piece number 2 to that, potential all-star kind of player that we would need to help lead that team.
Okay. Both Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson were both on the team during the rookie season of KG3.
Yep.
So both of them would fall into that category. Now, do you have any outliers? Like, do you think any of these potential rookies right now, do you think any of them have all-star potential? We haven't seen a lot from these guys, these rookies that we drafted this year.
Yeah. I think Ochai shows a ton of flash, but he's got to get his shooting in check. He's still just he's only shooting like 27% from 3 right now, which is just killing him.
Honestly, I think Kessler's probably got the best shot of being a future,
and that's probably the best next choice would be Walker Kessler. Absolutely. Especially because he could potentially be an NBA Defensive Player of the Year type player, right? Which puts you in that upper echelon, which qualifies you for all that big money. So yeah, I think Walker Kessler is probably a great pick as far as some of this younger talent is with the team.
Yeah. So that's basically kind of where we're sitting there as far as the potential for the Utah Jazz to be one of the potential teams to be one of the next young teams that are in position to become a future dynasty. Now, obviously the hot ones, and I don't want to blow the list there for, I don't want to spoil the video for Mike, but the Utah Jazz definitely weren't on it, but there were a few teams that, we've actually done a few videos on prior that are going to be in that one as well. But we just like to make the case for the Utah Jazz to see if they would fit on there.
I think they definitely got some work to do. We've all watched them play this year, but this team's good, right? And they're going to be better. They need games to slow down a little bit for some of these young players so they can kind of find a rhythm. But this team's got a ton of potential and a ton of upside, and I really do think they could potentially be the next dynasty in the NBA.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So let me go ahead and throw some cold water on this.
Okay.
Real quick. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna get a drink while you do that.
Okay, this is not going out to just the NBA. This is going out to every Jazz fan. And I guarantee you, every single one of you out there, including my cohort sitting right next to me, is going to feel the same way about this. I do not care about a future dynasty. I do not care. If I hear the front office, if I hear Danny Ainge, if I hear, the Smith organization, if I hear Coach Hardy, if I hear anybody in the front office of the Utah Jazz come to us and talk to us about long-term competitive team, or a team that's built to be competitive for the long term and leveraging not our whole future, Utah needs to get a championship. They need a ring first. Then we'll worry
let's
about
get one.
Let's get one, and then we'll worry about the dynasty after that.
Even Pat McAfee wants us to win one.
Right? Exactly. Courtside of the Jazz game. Let's put this in the comments down below. Jazz fans, answer this question for me in the comments down below. If the Utah Jazz were to go all into the trade deadline and somehow win a title this year, but they didn't make the playoffs for the next 4 years, would you take that?
Absolutely.
I would take that deal.
AJ votes absolutely. I'll put it in the comments below.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think there's a Jazz fan that would argue that point with me. Is that
Nope.
you got to get a ring first, and then you can worry about that. You know,
Yeah.
you want to build a dynasty, great, but you got to have
Got to get one before you can get 2 or 3.
Exactly. So we need to focus on the one. If we need to do the sorry to change sports on this, we want to do the Florida Marlins option or the Toronto Raptors option, where we basically just go get the expiring asset that could push us over the hill, you know, and get us over the hump.
Yep, we'll take it.
Let's take it.
Let's take it.
Let's do it.
I don't care.
I don't care about a dynasty. I care about getting one ring. Let's start there first.
Yeah.
But so that's just me coming as a Utah Jazz fan, how I feel about the whole building a dynasty there. But we just wanted to definitely give you that. I don't know. Am I alone on that island there?
No, sir. No, sir. That is an island I will swim with you to.
Okay. All right. Once again, Utah Jazz fans, let us know in the comments down below. I know we did a lot of breakdown there on the Utah Jazz potentially being one of the next dynasties.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, let us know.
Let's hear it. I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, let us know in the comments down below. So once again, folks, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Make sure if you are enjoying this content, it's something you like, make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. It really helps out the channel.
And I cannot believe you just slammed me with that. All this preparation I did, and you just hit me with it.
I thought it was perfect, right?
It was absolutely.
Tell me that wasn't great, right? I
love it. But yes, I did hear about the trade. James Harden to the Clippers.
James Harden to the Clippers. Okay, so let's go ahead and break down that trade real quick. I'm going to give you a 60-second breakdown of that trade. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. The Utah Jazz will not finish in the top 6. They will now be a playoff team. I believe that the Clippers will make it to the top 6. They'll be in a 5th or 6th seed. James Harden and Russell Westbrook will both not playoff proven talents, so they won't go very far. Both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George will be injured before the playoffs start or within the first round or two, and they will make an exit in the first round or two. That trade meant absolutely nothing for the Clippers.
You're welcome.
You want anything to add to that trade?
Yeah, James Harden's worthless, and that team got a lot worse by getting away some of their best assets to bring on James Harden that has done nothing with any team ever, and I don't know why you would trade for a player to make your team worse. I think that the 76ers killed it, man.
Absolutely. Great move. Great move by the front office there to really they got control of like 3 or 4 picks, got some young talent. They need to push that in the middle, man, and make a run with Embiid. This could potentially be his last year there before he demands a trade. You get the next key point guard out there. You know, they really make some hay out there in the East. But all right, let's go ahead and pivot over to Major League Baseball, shall we?
Absolutely. My favorite topic every single week.
Absolutely. It's great. All right. So there's a lot of fun stuff that's going on with the World Series. First, let's talk about what a lot of people are talking about right now is the fact that this is the lowest rated World Series in quite a long time.
Oh, really?
Ratings wise, Game 2 and Game 3 have actually been the lowest ratings that we've had in World Series games.
Do you think it's the teams that are in it? There's just no big market teams.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I think this is something that everybody felt when it was going into Game 7 on both sides in both divisional and both championship series. Like we can get a Diamondbacks Rangers World Series.
Yeah.
You know, Philly
is versus either one of the other teams make it.
Yeah,
it's on track to be fantastic.
If it's Philly and the Astros, that's just a rematch of last year. People are gonna watch.
Yep.
Philly is a big sports town. Their fans are crazy. They would come out for that.
Yeah, we did a video on the last one. Check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it was the other way around, you know, if it was the Philly versus the Rangers, it would still be okay, right? You know, if it was Astros versus the Diamondbacks, it would be a little bit better. But yeah, just the fact that it's 2 small market teams that are making it
struggling.
It's definitely a struggle for sure, but that's okay. There's 2 things that we want to talk about when it comes to the World Series. There were records were broken this year. So if you're following this sport, if you're following this World Series here, you probably already know this, but for the masses, let's go ahead and let the casuals know what's going on. So first of all, Ketel Marte has the longest hitting streak in postseason history. He has 20-game hitting streak in the postseason so far.
Dude, that's absolutely insane.
Yeah. We mentioned in our video last week that he's probably the most underrated player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
This guy's absolutely really stepping up in the postseason.
This is what it takes, right? I mean, that's the reason you get to these positions is because big time players step up in big time positions, and he came to play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got Adolis Garcia has broken the record for most RBI in a postseason with 22.
Just crazy. That is so many runs.
Yeah. 2 games with 2 multiple home run games.
Those are 2 crazy statistics to be broken in this, like you said, small market World Series that nobody's actually watching. Yeah,
I think it's crazy. And Corey Seager is proving to be, it's another great postseason for him, being the guy I think he's got over a 900 OPS. So, which is pretty good.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was fantastic to watch. These are both these are two teams that were that you can count on one hand how many seasons ago it was they lost 100 games.
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago.
Big strides in the last couple seasons to turn the programs around and make sure they're successful. Like, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. I just mentioned Corey Seager. Did you hear let's go ahead and pivot away from the game a little bit. Did you see some of the controversy around Corey Seager this week?
I didn't see that.
Okay. So in case you haven't noticed, Mookie Betts has been hired by Fox as a kind of postseason coverage for the World Series.
Like almost an analyst, right? Like
Exactly.
He's showing up to talk about what's going on and his takes.
Exactly. So first of all, let me go ahead and congratulate Mookie Betts. It took about 2 weeks, but he finally showed up in the postseason.
Oh, wow. that hurts. That's your team, bro.
Yeah. Sorry, Mookie, but seriously,
you had
bro.
to.
Seriously.
You had to.
Oh, for the entire postseason, man. Anyway, so part of the controversy is that before the game, Corey Seager and Mookie Betts who were teammates last year,
right?
Were talking back and forth, and you can kind of see how Seager gives Mookie Betts a little shove and says, "Don't touch me," and people are like, "Whoa, what's that about?" So I don't know how to take that. Probably, in my opinion, if I was Corey Seager, I wouldn't want Mookie Betts touching me right now either. Don't want to get that offer on my,
No, thank you.
I mean, Seager is only batting like below the Mendoza line, below 200.
Yeah.
But he has a 900 OPS, so he's putting up performances when it counts.
Yeah, he's just as efficient as he needs to be.
Yeah, but yeah, you definitely don't want any of that offer on you at all. So, and then again, right before the beginning of Game 4, you got Seager right behind him in the pregame stretching, and you got Big Papi saying, "Hey, Seager, come say hi to Mookie, man." And it took Big Papi to get him to turn around, and then he just kind of waves off.
He's like, "Yeah, nope."
Just kind of waves off.
He's
like, "No, thanks. Sorry." Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's something there. I think.
A little bit of beef.
Maybe a little bit of beef. Maybe.
You heard it here first. There's beef.
That's right. But anyway, so another big thing that came out includes Mookie Betts also. This is a frequent person to the channel, and we're not talking about Manny Machado on this one. This is comments about Trevor Bauer.
We like talking about Trevor Bauer here.
Trevor Bauer back in the news, and
check out one of our past videos on Trevor Bauer.
Exactly. Now this is actually funny because this isn't Trevor Bauer actually doing anything. This is somebody coming in the defense of Trevor Bauer, and it's of course Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts was interviewed by the LA Times, and he was straight up just asked a question about Trevor Bauer. And you'd think that he would, sidestep it and do, let the league do what they got to do. There's a whole lot going on here. But this is the statement, and I'll quote, "My experience with Trevor Bauer is not anything remotely close to what everyone else experienced is. I love him. I think he was an awesome guy," Betts told the Los Angeles Times via the Associated Press. "The personal things, I have no control. I have no say. Obviously, nothing ever came of it. He's an awesome pitcher. He's a great guy. Somebody who wants to take the mound every fifth day. But at the end of the day, I don't make the decisions. That's a decision that's not simple as baseball." He also made comments that he thinks that the Dodgers should consider signing him next year.
How do you feel about that?
That's a good question, man. I mean, we could talk about how this all looks, right? I mean, obviously, he's going to be catching a lot of flack from both sides of this.
Yep.
People who think Trevor Bauer is just a big old definitely kind of giving him the business right now. My argument on this is these are false claims that were made against him. And even if they aren't false claims, let's say they're 100% true, there are players in Major League Baseball that are playing on these teams right now that did far worse, that are currently in Major League Baseball right now.
Still playing.
Yep. Ozuna is the guy I continually make an example on this. Like, there's video evidence of him, having some assault against his better half, and there's video evidence of it. And he served his 20-game suspension, and he was invited right back with the team,
back on the field.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was just one of those things where
Trevor Bauer's become a scapegoat for the league.
Well, look at it this way. I mean, the Dodgers also had to deal with Julio Urias. There's just all the evidence on that one is just him shoving his wife down to the ground. He got suspended, and he's probably not going to be back with the Dodgers. If he's back with Major League Baseball, he's going to serve a suspension. Is this just Major League Baseball reacting to this or what? But I don't know, man. I think Mookie Betts got a point, man. I mean, this is obviously false claims that were made against Bauer. He spent a year in Japan after he served his year suspension without pay. spend a year in Japan when nobody would sign him for the league minimum, including the Dodgers, who paid him $25 million to not
It's not
play.
like he's some slouch of a pitcher, bro. This guy won a Cy Young Award.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like you said, he pitched a year in Japan. I think he should be playing in Major League Baseball again because, like I said, he served his suspension.
Did his time,
and some would argue that he did more than he should. So,
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Same way, man. I think the dude should be playing. Bring him back. I mean, realistically, bringing Trevor Bauer back, any PR is good PR for Major League Baseball that's currently having a down World Series. Like, you need to get people watching this sport again. They had a good year, but this World Series falling off, man. You need to get something that's going to kind of spark everyone's interest and, maybe bring some different eyes onto the sport. And I think that's good for baseball.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And again, if you watched our previous videos about what went wrong for the Los Angeles Dodgers this year, what was my number one thing?
Pitching.
Starting pitching. Guess what the Dodgers paid $20 million to do? Have Trevor Bauer not pitch for them.
Yep.
Yeah. So just saying, guys.
Let that man throw it.
Exactly. All right. You got anything else?
I do got a couple interesting stats on the World Series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So teams to score first are 31-9 in this postseason so far.
31-9.
Yep. 31-9.
Okay.
So whoever scores first in this could be the winner of the World Series. I mean, if the Rangers score first, they could be the winner of this World Series. Also, teams that out-homer opponents are 24-4 this postseason. So if you have more home runs than the other team, 49.2% of runs scored this postseason are off of home runs.
Really?
Yeah, 49% of runs scored were off of home runs this postseason.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, there's been a lot.
Diamondbacks just gave up a run. So
Texas Rangers are going to win. They're the first to score 31-9 this postseason.
Yep, you heard it here first, folks. Although this video will come out after the game's over. So probably about a day or two after. So once again, folks, if you're watching this on YouTube, the full episode of covering everything we talked about in podcast format is available on YouTube as a video underneath our playlist labeled podcast. It's also available audio only wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share it. We appreciate all the engagement with you guys. Keep commenting down below. We love it.
Absolutely. We're on the grind to 1,000 subscribers. So make sure if this type of content you like, please be sure to subscribe. We're going to be giving away the first $500 in AdSense revenue back to our subscribers. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. With that said, my name is Darren. This is AJ, and this has been the DNA Sports Recap.
Till next time.